Welcome back to Two Coaches, One Grizz. I'm Frank Morales with our esteemed head coach, Gil Laura, and our fanatic, Mario Mesa, the Grizz, and our illustrious producer, Anthony Carabata, AC. Gentlemen, we do have to start with some unfortunate news this week. The unfortunate passing of a national treasure, Mike Leach, 61 years young, passed away due to heart complications. It is a surprising event, very sad news in the football community. He was a head coach at Texas Tech, Washington State, and Mississippi State, and an innovator of the air raid offense and coaching tree. He has coaches all over the country, but somebody that was a very colorful human in the world of football, and it is definitely an unfortunate loss for those of us who are football fans through and through. Coach, your thoughts?
No, it's definitely a sad day. He was just a funny guy. Had great quips, very quick-witted. He said things off the cuff. Everything that was unexpected. He made football interesting. It was more than about the game when you talked to him. And he was always very colorful, very lighthearted kind of guy to talk to. And I think that, the sport's going to miss him a lot. It's a huge hole for him, for his passing. 100%.
I mean, this is a dude that in the middle of a press conference would talk about history and economics and finances and government and it was just you never knew what was going to come out of his mouth next, and like you said, that's what made him such an interesting figure in our sport, where everything is very formal and cut and dry. He brought that color. He brought that quirkiness to, the head coaching ranks. Grizz, your thoughts?
Yeah, just his nickname, the Pirate. The guy was always interested in, like you said, history. He loved talking about obscene things that, no coach would be asked the questions, and he played with it. And even if you were thinking you were making fun of him or something, he was smarter than you. Probably the smartest guy in the room.
Oh, flip it on you in a second.
And the thing was that he enjoyed the banter and he loved it. The guy bought a place in the Keys, Key West in 2009. Perfect place for a Pirate to be. Key Weird. He loved.
He coached a little. He spent some time at Key West, coaching at Key West.
Yes.
He was like a consultant.
Right.
To one of the guys there. Jerry Hughes was the head coach down there for quite a few years, and.
I didn't know that, but
yeah.
I found out
Coach
today.
Was there.
Found out watching old interviews, especially with Jeremy Schaap. Great interview if you can YouTube it. How he was talking about when he was learning about the Capitals, he would be interested in Florida and especially those little dots right down there. And he goes, "I don't know where I'm going in life, but I'm going there eventually." And it just called to him, and that's why I always thought the last couple times the Canes needed a coaching. They always talked about Mike Leach coming here. I'm like, this guy loves the Keys. Come on down. And his offense would have been amazing for this school. And plus, he's just, like Gil said, he's just a good human. He was a person that, I don't like these stuffy coaches that you live 24/7. And you can imagine, I also heard, another guy talking about, imagine him and Saban when they were coaching against each other the last couple of years. What totally different people. You have a guy that 24/7 is just obsessed with it, and then you got a guy that's probably ready to talk to you about Bigfoot any 5 seconds. Yeah. Just the weirdest conversations, and not take it seriously, but he's still great at what he does.
Did you know he also talk about a very diverse human, right? In his interests and his thoughts, he had a law degree, which
of course he was a lawyer basically,
and
he
was a
never
super bright guy.
Yeah.
He was
just an intelligent
just
man.
Not your normal guy, and they don't make those guys anymore. And it just sucks. That's the kind of guy that needs to last longer, and he would have been great for Mississippi State, I'm sure, for the next few years.
Yeah, and his resume speaks for itself. At every stop, he made them into winning programs, and these were second-tier programs, Division I, FBS programs, but still second-tier, and brought them into prominence.
Tough places that you wouldn't, the Texas Tech, Washington State, Mississippi State, not your name brand of the big schools, but where he went, he elevated them.
And Grizz said this off air. 19 of his 21 head coaching seasons took those teams to bowl games, winning football everywhere. Took off-brand teams and made them winners. He was 8-4 this past year, and they were saying that he struggled with pneumonia, which probably was a precursor to this situation. Very, very unfortunate news, and I think we have to do him right, and the coaches that he's produced, his memory is going to live on through them with all of the different concepts and the air raid offenses that you see. He's a product of, or they're a product of him.
I mean, Lincoln Riley's one of his guys, and look at 3 out of the last 6 Heisman Trophy winners. So it's just, it's the players today are 100%, and not all of them said, yeah, we want to play the game. Something he would want. I'm sure that's what he'd want. For sure. Because he's like, who cares? I'm just dead. Keep going. That's the way he was. And the fact that they're playing the bowl game in Tampa, you're going to have a pirate ship there. I mean, sometimes it just writes itself.
100%. So we're going to do our best to do right by him and, have some good banter here as he would have loved it. And, we're going to switch gears here and try to make the rest of the show fun, right? In light of this bad news, we're going to jump right into the Week 14 recap and the action that we had this past weekend in the NFL. Let's look at the Jets and Bills right off the hit. Aside from Mike White absolutely getting destroyed and having a couple near-death experiences, my takeaway from that game was the Jets have an elite defense, a Super Bowl-ready defense. And what's holding them back is this...
lack of quarterback play?
Lack of quarterback play, and dare I say, lack of consistency in the quarterback play, right? And I think part of it is due to the lack of consistency on the O-line. I mean, the guy came out of the game, 3 times and had to end up going to the hospital?
There was a shot he got, that obviously is the one you're talking about, where I could still hear the crunch of his chest and ribs. And I'm like, that guy's done? That guy's done? Great. Good on you, man, for coming back the first time. But I think you should sit it out. And then he comes back again. I'm like, not a fan of the Jets, but, man, I am a fan of people that keep getting up. I don't care who you are, and the shots he took to get back, mad respect.
Yeah, I mean, he gets hit that first time just staring down the barrel of a dude running straight at him to deliver a ball and gets destroyed. Comes out the game and then does it again. Like, that's the epitome of toughness, right? Like, that you're going to get absolutely destroyed, and he sticks in there to deliver the ball. Does it again.
I think that's one of the reasons that they did elevate him to being the starter, because he brings a lot to the table.
The intangibles
of being a starter, of being a leader, and doing things the right way, and the guys like him.
Yep.
That's important.
And that's why I know
the locker room is important.
That, and now I know for sure he's a tough guy, because he could sit out. It's not like he's going to lose his job against Zach Wilson or the statue. He's going to be there. He's the quarterback for the rest of the year. He's the best option they have. So the guy just shows. I mean, you got a guy that couldn't answer a question as your quarterback and leaves your defense on the bus. And then you got this guy who just keeps on coming in, getting destroyed. Who do you think's gonna get their?
No, and that's why they're fighting.
Yeah.
And they're a tough out. They're definitely a tough out. Years before, they were a given. It was an easy win.
You're not blowing them out. You're not blowing them out. The defense will keep you in every game.
I mean, look, the stat speaks for itself. If the Jets are able to score 20 points, okay, they're 95% winning rate. Like, that's all you need. That's how good their defense is. Right? You just need to score 20.
Oh, but I mean, they've also lost. Again, I do think that Breece Hall became like the centerpiece of what they were trying to do with that offense.
That was the turning point, right?
And by him getting hurt, I think it took a lot out of what they wanted to do and his explosiveness. He's a really good running back.
They had a nice little back night come and play this week.
No, he does. But again, he does not have what Breece Hall had or what he was bringing to the table.
It next week. That's all that matters to me.
We'll see what happens.
And look, another takeaway from this game and the series of events is...
I hate block punts. No? Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know that.
You hate block punts and you cannot lie.
Listen, and I know that you're still steaming about...
No, it's just I'm just saying block punts. That's all. I mean, I thought that was your take on it. My bad.
No. My take is how bad does the situation... How bad is the situation with Zach Wilson that... they would rather put in Joe Flacco, who pretty much essentially retired like 3 seasons ago. The guy's just there in a helmet just to collect the paycheck because he is a statue back there. And by all costs, because I think we all agree here that the second best option if Mike White goes out is Zach Wilson. But because of the ire that the locker room has of him, they'd rather put the grandpa in over him. Like, he's not even dressed. Like, this is an implosion on the level of a.
He has to go. He has to go somewhere. He has to go somewhere else and rebuild his.
Yeah, he's done.
He has to rebuild himself somewhere else.
Second pick of the draft.
Again, I don't know if that's going to be on an NFL team. I don't know if that's going to be in the XFL, USFL. I don't know what FL it's going to be, but he has to go somewhere to rebuild himself, because again, the guys in the locker room need to know you have their back.
Yeah. There's a lot of ways to not be on a team anymore, but the fastest way is if your teammates.
And for you to answer that question the way you answered it after you scored 3 points is ridiculous.
Gentlemen, unfortunately, and you guys understand this because you are lifelong football fans and you've been in this game in some way, shape, or form, that guy's going to be on the roster next year. You don't draft somebody that high and he gets cut.
I don't know what to tell you, bro. I don't know what to tell you. I really don't know what to tell you. I'm not 100% sold on that, just because he hasn't brought fire to the table. It's not like he's gone in and won
trade for him
10 games.
Someone's willing to get.
It's not like he's averaging. Okay, you tell me a guy like Tua that's had a good season this year, that's been highly accurate, things of that nature. Okay, yeah, there's a silver lining. This guy hasn't brought anything. As much as I thought he was going to be good, as much as I thought he's done nothing. He's really sucked. Last year I gave him a pass because the OC got run over and passed away, and it was different. But not this year. Not when White can go into a game and score 30 points in a certain game.
If nothing else, I mean, you're going to go through growing pains, but you got to be able to show that you have some natural.
There's got to be certain games you got to score points.
Yeah.
Like this game against Buffalo, I get it. They don't score points. The weather sucked. Buffalo's defense good, but Zach sucks. Simple.
Yeah, plain and simple. Let's see if they can.
Other than getting Cougars and stuff like that, he sucks at everything else.
Oh wow. We're gonna move on amicably from that situation. Let's jump into the Cleveland Browns.
Maybe he plays good against the Lions next week.
Oh, yeah, okay.
He likes the felines.
He won't be in though.
No, I know, but if this guy gets hurt,
he still won't be dressed.
Oh yeah, they're not gonna dress him.
It'll be Flacco.
No cats then.
Let's jump into another AFC matchup here: Cincinnati Bengals versus Cleveland Browns. Last week we looked at this game and did a preview of it, and of all of the accolades that Joe Burrow has obtained in his young career, he could not get over the Cleveland Browns hump. And talked about it, and I book it. It's going to happen this game. And he pulled through. Cincinnati Bengals, man, they're catching fire at the right time, like we've talked about ad nauseum on this show the past couple years. They're getting hot at the right time. They're no longer a dark horse. This is a team that has ratcheted up a notch. They're kicked it into a different gear, and they, by some accounts, look like the team to beat in the AFC if they keep on humming the way that they're humming. Grizz, your thoughts? Because you were very skeptical last week when we were previewing this game. What do you think?
I'm pretty sure he was supposed to win. He did his job. Home against the Browns with
it's not like he had a statistically sizzling game.
But he's also
you
going
make it sound like the guy was on fire in this game.
But he's also
he threw for 239 and 2 touchdowns.
I'm talking as a team, sir.
No. You talk about Joe Burrow.
He couldn't get over the hump. That's what they were. That was the whole. He can't get over the Cleveland Browns.
They did not play exceptionally well.
They have his number. They
didn't play. They didn't win because of him. I mean, he was part of the team, I guess. But it's not like he had a 300-yard passing game, 5 touchdowns, threw him on his back. Come on, guys, I got this. Threw for 239.
Yeah, nothing to write home about. He won the game, but. Like I said, going up against Watson that's still trying to figure out this offense, trying to still figure out where he's at. The Browns are obviously in that, are we playing? Are we here? So, good for them. The game next week is against who? The Bucks? I think this is going to tell everything right here. They've won 5 in a row. They got the Bucks on the road. They got the Pats, even though obviously the Bucks didn't look good against the Niners. We'll talk about that.
So bad.
Yeah, we're
Terrible.
into that one in a second.
You could always just he's got to beat the Bucs with Tom Brady, and then at the Patriots, home against the Bills, home against the Ravens. It's right there for him. And the lucky part that Lamar Jackson's no longer the quarterback for right now. They should take over the division. And yeah, they're not a dark horse anymore. Everybody knows who you are. So the playoffs are going to be the telling.
Worth noting, they are getting, again, healthy at the right time. Joe Mixon back in, okay, having an efficient day, 96 yards on just
They did lose
14,
Higgins, I
on
think, for
14
the game.
carries. But they can survive without Higgins, right? They had Jamar Chase is back. He had 10 receptions for 119 and a tutty. You know, that guy, listen, when all else is wrong in the world, toss it up to him. He's going to come down with that ball. I think the key to the Cincinnati Bengals' success down the stretch here is that tandem in the backfield, right? Joe Mixon and Samaje Perine. They stay healthy. This is going to be a team that's going to be able to control the clock
They need to run
and
the ball.
grind teams down. And let Joe Cool do his thing when he needs to do it.
But they're gonna need all the weapons back to fully take a Super Bowl run. I think for the receiving corps.
Neither one of the two running backs.
I mean, I could live without Boyd, but I need Higgins back to.
This was
feel
a
better.
Jamar Chase show. He got 10 receptions for 120 yards. The defense played exceptionally well.
That's another.
Remember,
That to me is the key.
Their defense.
The
needs
key
to, play
to
like
them
that.
is their defense. It's not everything else. It's their defense. As far as Joe Mixon and Samaje Perine are concerned, I mean, technically their stats together made a good back. One good back. 18 carries for like 110 yards. I mean...
But I'm talking about down the stretch. I'm not talking about this week. I'm talking about as we get into playoff time, December, January football.
I think they need to be able
they're going to become more important.
They need to throw the football and run the ball to finish the game.
Because think about who they have to go through in the playoffs, right? You're talking about Buffalo, hostile territory, very hostile environment, okay? And the Kansas City Chiefs, again, a very hostile stadium.
But that's the thing.
And he's done it.
If they run the table and they win out, they win every single game left, they're going to be the number one seed.
Yes.
So,
but do you see that happening?
I mean, I don't think they're going to win out. It's hard with like the schedule I just gave you. But if Joe Burrow is that guy, he could do it, right?
I think
because that's the game. That's the big game to me. Obviously, if you lose one of those two games, Bucs, Patriots, and the Bills don't lose any games when you play Monday night. If you're two back, it's probably not going to happen. But if they win the two road games and they play the Bills, that's at home Monday night. That'll be big for the number one seed.
The last three games of the season are going to be tough. Patriots, Bills, Ravens.
Yeah.
They got to get out of there healthy. And the Ravens is a divisional game. It's going to be for the divisional championship.
Even without Lamar, it will be tough.
With or without Lamar.
But if he comes back, he'll be back by that game.
100% agreed. All right, let's jump over to NFC. It feels like most of the action that occurred this past weekend was in the NFC. All the fireworks, right? Detroit Lions taking out the Minnesota Vikings, 34-23. Jared Goff showing out, 27 of 39, 330 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Okay? Now, this is a caveat, right? Kirk Cousins also played extremely well, right? He was 31 of 41 for 425 yards. It's not like he choked or anything like that. But the Detroit Lions started 1-5 or 1-6. And they have been 5-1 since. Talk about a turnaround. Dan Campbell's doing his thing up there. You know, they're fighting. They're in every game. They've been playing winning football, except, you know, for a couple little mistakes here and there.
Mike White plays this week and they lose.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. You're playing outdoors. You're playing outdoors in New York. Goff outdoors, it's not a good quarterback. He sucks. They got to play the Panthers outdoors.
Listen,
they end up in Green Bay.
I think that they've rallied around this guy. I think he's the unquestioned leader. He's rose above the adversity that he had there. I, for one, have become a fan. I want to see them sneak into the playoffs. If they do what they have to do, they sneak in 7th or 8th seed. And they could very well, if they continue this hot streak, they could very well be one of the top, last 4 teams in the NFC playoffs.
If they go 2-2, they've done well in the last 4.
And again,
they got to win out to make the playoffs.
I see them going 2-2 at
Once again, the problem of the
Gentlemen,
tie.
I'm trying to be optimistic.
No, you can be all the
You
you guys,
optimistic
you guys
in
are
the world.
being death dealers over
No,
here.
sir, it's about being realistic.
It's about don't lose 6 of your first 7
Don't
games.
tell me about. Oh,
Here's the
I'm
problem, the
optimistic.
tie-
Jets, Panthers, Bears, Packers.
Yes, at Jets, at Panthers,
Yeah.
both outdoor games. At Green Bay, outdoors.
Hey.
They got one home game left against the Bears. That's it.
I get it.
But you
I
got
get it. But
we're
those
now,
are
and even
three
if you go,
very winnable games.
Right.
I think they
but
can
you
make it
have
happen.
other problems. The tie between the Commanders and the Giants kills their tiebreaker. They beat both of those teams, but they're technically 2 back now because of that tie. And then let's not even talk about there's still like 3 other teams that are ahead. It's nice. It's a great story. I love their team, but they gotta win out. Not gonna win out. Not gonna win out. This team is not gonna play as crisp on the road outside.
2-2, and maybe
even if
1-2.
Jared Goff plays great, you gotta have a better running game.
I
Their
think that's
running
it.
game's been okay. We gotta have.
Book it.
Don't
2-2.
3-1.
Oh, so you want to put a side bet on that?
Let's do it.
Let's go.
What do you want?
How much?
Talk to me.
Whatever you want. Listen, talk to me.
We'll look at the
Oh,
odds.
dear.
No, forget
Off
it.
here.
There ain't no odds. There's no odds. There's no odds to that.
3-1.
3-1 in the last 4 games here.
No.
$100, $200.
Whoa.
No, whatever you want,
Just
bro.
go-
I gotta wait till my supplement.
Just
A
get a
box of
bill.
Enfamil.
Just put a bill. Make
Yes,
it a bill.
I'm good for that one.
Make
and
it a
some
bill.
diapers. Throw in some diapers there. You got
Make
yourself
it
a
a
deal.
bill.
That's $100 right there.
Make it a bill.
Let's jump to the other action here. The Giants lay an absolute egg against the Philadelphia Eagles.
Against the
48-14.
Against the best team in football.
Against the best team in football. But both of you were very, very
No, they
optimistic. Said that they're
They
going
were
to keep it
optimistic
close.
because
They should have put up a better fight.
I thought they would be able to run the ball, at least give it a close game. The Eagles might have been due for a little letdown.
Something.
But no, the opposite happened. I think the Eagles
They were
have shown
terrible.
more and more that their running game is devastating. It's just devastating. And then when they don't want to run, they got A.J. Brown and Smith right there. It's just, man, this team is getting better and better.
I think with the play, right, with the show that they put on this past weekend against the Giants, I think Jalen Hurts has put himself square in the MVP
course.
conversation.
Absolutely.
This is no longer a fluke, right? I think that they have to pay him. I think he gets paid now.
Everybody gets
At,
paid
at
once
the
they
end
go.
of this year. What other option do you have?
What
He
el-
has shown to be consistent. He hasn't had a
Was-
even in their
No,
one
but
loss.
But was Lamar
they haven't
Jackson
had-
paid out of third MVP year? No. You
Well,
don't have
because
to-
that was his second year.
Yeah, but this is his third year.
Right, but remember, there is no extra year option, right? So are they going to wait till after the 4th season? No, they're going to try to pay him
franchise him.
now, right, before that price tag gets even higher.
If they're sold 100%.
Think about
sure.
it, right? The salary
If
cap.
they do, they're sold on them because it's all about
The salary
it's all
cap
about your
continues to go up here,
It's all
so
about
that
what your
price
franchise thinks about
My
you.
biggest situation with that is, again, how much money do you want to tie into a running quarterback? Look at what's going on over at Arizona. Look at what's going on with Lamar. Anytime that you tie up that much money into that quarterback, it becomes an issue because he can get hurt, and then you are caca out of luck. You can't replicate that.
Listen,
You can't replicate
But there's
Jalen
no.
Hurts.
But unfortunately, these people get paid because there's no other option.
No, I get it. I'm
So,
not talking about getting paid.
He's gonna get his money
You got
eventually.
to be smart on how much you pay him, and he's
Absolutely.
got to be smart on what he asks.
It's just does
Because
he
again, if he breaks the bank,
Does he
he's
want
gonna
to
break
be?
the team.
Listen.
because
Does he want to be a winner, or does he need to be the guy that needs the dollar more than the next guy? So
Correct.
I'm the best.
Can he be the
I'm
Tom
always
Brady?
gonna be the winner
Can he be the
because
Tom
I'm still gonna
Brady?
get paid money.
Can he be the Tom Brady and be smart, or is he going to be the
The
Drew
blueprint's
Brees
there. The
and
blueprint's
destroy?
there.
Coach, again, the salary cap is going to continue to go up, right? It's on average, you're looking at quarterbacks are getting paid about 30% of the salary cap. That's just the going rate. You're not going to, the guy's not going to take a pay cut or, give the team a break after the season that he's had. He hasn't had a bad game.
It
Even in their
doesn't
one
matter.
loss, he
Doesn't
wasn't the
matter.
reason why
Okay,
they
it
lost.
doesn't matter if
I
the salary cap
understand
goes
what
up
you're
or
saying.
not. If you
It's just
strap
the
if you
number is
strap
going to continue get
if
higher.
you strap the team, they cannot continue to get you A.J. Browns to throw
Right.
to.
'Cause guess what? You gotta pay
Sanders to
Smith. You
get-
gotta pay Brown.
Sanders
You gotta
to
pay
run
these
the
running
ball,
backs.
O-line to block, defense to play. If you break the bank, you break your chances of winning championships.
If he decides
That's what
to
Tom
be,
Brady was so smart about.
if he decides to be like, hey, you know what, $40 million a year is the most, but I'm willing to do $30 million a year, he might be a better quarterback for it because he'll have money now to give to. And once again, all he needs to get,
he's that type of quarterback.
he
too.
needs his whole
Yeah,
contract. By the way, they're going to give the contract all of it guaranteed anyway. So I mean, if you got a couple $100 million up front, just be happy, bro. I mean, I understand why people need the extra dollar to show that I'm the man.
I don't think it is.
You know what I'm
I'm
saying?
just saying. Remember, when you're
We will
talking
see.
about when
We
you're
will
talking
see.
about
you have
NFL,
the Aaron Rodgers syndrome,
Yeah.
and then you have the Tom Brady syndrome.
well, the Aaron Rodgers situation was like a back pay situation, right? He wanted to get paid for all the years that he's been there. Blah 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 blah.
But the last 2 contracts, he's been getting paid
100%.
handsomely.
What I'm saying is, right? He's not going to put himself, right? Oh, I'm going to take $10 million less. No, they're going to structure the contract to where it's going to be workable for both sides. You get what I'm saying? Like, he's going to get paid. He's also not going to take a pay cut.
It's not about taking a pay
Because
cut.
in the NFL,
It's about being smart and not being the number 3 quarterback being paid. It's about being 7, but my team is still going to be a star-studded team, and I'm going to make the money as I
get
have
you.
ads, as I sell Nike or Adidas or whatever.
Okay, when I'm making this contract and I'm talking to the team, I'm like, look, I'm going to take this amount, but I need also from you guys this money that I'm giving up. I need it to go to this and this. He needs to be a part of that. See, that's what I would be willing to do. Be a part of the conversation about what you're going to do with that money I should be getting. I need you to put it in these places where it's going to better me and better the team. If that happens, they have a chance to be for years. But these players don't understand that, and they want everything.
I think he understands that, though.
But
we'll see. We'll see.
That has to be we don't know yet until
my contention is,
I think he's a team player. He's shown me a lot of leadership. Listen, but I got when it comes to money, I need to see that.
Before Watson did all his massaging, I thought he was the most upstanding, great character guy ever.
Correct.
Would never hurt a fly.
Correct.
And then we have 68 people or whatever amount. You don't know anybody until we know them.
Massage gate.
Yeah. We don't know when Hurts goes, I was the backup here and I had to transfer here. I'm going to get paid now.
We need to cut to last week's episode where both of you were singing this guy's praises and saying that he's shown leadership by saying.
But I'm not taking that away from him.
All of that is true.
But that doesn't translate into him. Okay, Drew Brees was one of the greatest quarterback leaders on any football team. When it got time for his contract, he said, pay me. I want to get paid. And he did. And he broke the New Orleans Saints. The Saints never recovered. Then he messed up his shoulder. They were mediocre ever since.
Speaking of somebody who broke the bank that got paid $250 million in the offseason, Russell Wilson, game of his life. They start 27 down. It's a 27-0 ball game, and he starts cooking.
Yeah, there's no way they're going to come back ever.
And then
they can't even score 17. How can they get to 27?
He gets absolutely crushed trying to dive into the end zone to the point where, to quote our Hispanic heritage, gets up with a tremendo chichón on the side of his head after getting swallowed, right, by the defense. Gentlemen, your thoughts here? Does he win back any of the locker room there, Mister? I have my own office in the locker room. What are your thoughts there?
I mean, again, of course, you gain respect by going out there and playing hard and doing all that you can to win. Now, it shouldn't take all of that for him to be that type of a leader or welcomed or part of, because you wouldn't mess things up to go in on the first place. You would be more of a team guy, less of a prima donna, et cetera, et cetera. And goes back to what we were talking about a few minutes ago as far as trying to break the bank and get all this money. Again, it's about how he carries himself. This is the Russell Wilson we've been expecting the whole year. It's not the Russell Wilson we got.
Right.
Now he's got a concussion, and he might not come back for about 3 weeks.
Right. No.
He should just shut it down anyway.
He
should just shut it down.
I mean.
And you know what? This was just one of those years you got to chalk up to, is this the rest of his career? Or did he have just a bad year? did he not? I still think the coach is not shouldn't be there.
I mean, 100%. I agree with you. I think the coach gets fired at the end of the season. I don't think we
don't
see
like
him,
that guy
and I
at
think
all
he
for
gets.
him.
And they're not going to let go of him. They just committed a $250 million.
No, he's not going to be let go.
There's brand new
See, he's not
ownership.
Zach Wilson. You know, it's not like, come on. You know,
Right.
like
There's brand new
the
ownership.
team doesn't think that guy plays his heart out when he plays.
The first thing this
You know,
brand new
like-
ownership did was pay that guy a king's ransom.
Yeah.
He's going to get this coach fired. Well, the coach probably got himself fired. Lack of management on that team. Terrible play calling. Was not ready to be a head coach at the NFL level. I think he gets another coach fired before they let him go. Because they have all this money committed to him for the next 6 years, 5 or 6 years.
I think
it depends on who the coach is and if they can mesh well together.
I think they
and
hired
he can
him.
come back to being.
I think they hired him in order to bring in Aaron. Okay, that didn't work out.
Fail.
Whatever, they kept him,
Right.
and he's
And
just not.
Plan
he's
B
not a
was
guy.
Russ. They messed up. They gave him the money, but I'm telling you, if he comes back and is at least somewhat like his old self again with a better coach, they'll be fine.
That's another team that their plans and their potential was derailed by losing their stud running back at the beginning of the year. Williams going out with
But
a knee injury.
they've also been hurt with the Jerry Jeudy hasn't played a whole lot. This was the first time he's come back to action.
But I'm saying Javon Williams
Right.
going out early in the year, that really killed
They had a lot of
what they
injuries
had.
and just terrible luck. I mean, every single game has been there. They can't score enough to win these games. They've had a lot of what ifs, and like I'm saying,
Luckily, they scored enough to cover in this game.
But they did cover.
Thank
Silver
God.
lining for
you
you.
know.
Amen to that.
But here's the thing: it's just this season's lost. It's over. It's like I said. I've always been a Russ fan. I think he has a chance to bounce back with the right guy. But I'm done. He's done for the year, I believe. So that's it. We put the curtains on the Broncos.
Speaking of the bounce back, how about Baker Mayfield, huh? Baker
What a
Mayfield,
crazy story. Huh?
36 hours with
Guys.
the team, comes in, game winner.
What a crazy
And
story.
after seeing that and seeing him and McVay, I just believe they're made for each other. I feel he's going to be their guy now. I mean, Stafford will come back, I guess, next year. But if he's willing to just stay there, I think Mayfield and him, they're just.
Are they playing the Raiders
feel-
every week?
Well, that's another thing.
That's
yes,
the only
they
way you
played-
can. That's the only way you can do
I
those
know
kind of
that,
things.
but just the kid. I'm not saying he's gonna be great, but I think he's better than what he's been put out to be. And I just think he needs, for a guy that's been with so many different OCs.
My
and
problem
coaches,
with it is again.
I just think McVay can bring whatever the hell.
I always go
just
back to
think he's good.
schematics. The problem with that is when he was at Cleveland, he had a couple decent years because Stefanski's scheme
Mm-hmm.
fit him well with the running game, the bootlegs, the rollout, the sprint
And
outs,
this is the same
things
type
like
of
that.
system.
When he went to Carolina, I don't know what they were trying to do over there. Apparently nothing because everybody sucked. But when Rule
Doesn't hurt.
Rule left and everything
And
got
it
better.
It doesn't help that team was terrible.
And like I said, Matt Rule got fired and everything got better.
Right.
And now he lands with the Rams, which is, again, a boot-style offensive team, which I think is going to be good for him for the next 3 or 4 years because if he stays healthy.
Mm-hmm.
If he stays healthy, I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, listen, in his best years when the Browns were a playoff team, they were in that Shanahan disciple offense. This is the exact offense that they're running in LA. I think it fits his skill set perfectly. And like you said, he's a rah-rah guy
you give that
that's
guy-
with a young rah-rah coach.
Give him Cooper Cup next year healthy. You get,
Correct.
some better talent. I just think I don't know if Stafford is ever going to be 100%, right? That guy's always hurt too. Where's his head at? Was he happy with one Super Bowl? Now I'm kind of out. Let me go do some pizza commercials and rock and roll. But I just think it's going to be, that's the guy.
The Baker Mayfield
I
show.
think it's going to be the Baker show. And we'll see. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's not like they got any picks to go pick up guys anyway, so might as well give it a
No, and I think he's got a good, friendly contract.
Right.
And listen, I'm pulling for the guy. Okay? That was great
I
what
think,
we saw
and
there.
You see, I think Baker's the type of guy that would do the contract friendly to make sure the team around them.
Right.
He
at,
has
at this
that in
stage,
him.
yeah. At this stage, I do agree.
Yeah,
with that.
he got his contract. He's
That
been
guy
paid.
just wants to win, man.
He's a baller,
He's making
man.
good
He's
money
a
on
gamer.
commercials too, anyway.
Now, speaking of talking about a dichotomy of quarterbacks here,
Dichotomy.
we're looking at the Mr. Relevant in this year's draft versus the all-time GOAT, who was also a late round pick once upon a time. Brock Purdy, right? Goes in there, puts 35 on Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Okay? do the 49ers have their quarterback?
I said it last week. I think that he fits perfectly, just like what we were talking about with Baker. I think he fits very well with what they're doing in San Francisco. I think he has all the right tools and what it takes to be a good quarterback. As we mentioned last week, he came from a pass-friendly conference. He knows how to throw the ball. He knows how to be a leader. I don't know if you guys heard any of the interviews with Kittle this week. Kittle was saying that the kid was telling people to shut up in the huddle. He was like, "Hey, let's go, man. Let's get pay attention." What do we do? So again, he is a natural leader. He's a guy that endears himself to the team. He threw a pick the other day. Again, he's upset at himself. The little things. He does all the little things right. And again, I think that he's sturdy enough to be their quarterback.
I completely agree. His overall QBR for the game was 92.8. That's pretty damn good when you look at NFL quarterback play. Again, going back to what you're talking about, he started 40-plus games in college. He was a two-time first-team all-conference quarterback in the Big 12, right? At Iowa State, of all places. They were extremely relevant while he was there. It is a far cry from what we see nowadays where NFL teams draft quarterbacks who only have 17, 18 starts under their belt. They're not finished products, right? And when these front offices, these GMs, they get enamored with the potential and the physical tools that these quarterbacks have, these guys fall to the wayside, right? The proven products that have been developed, that are ready to go, that have the intangibles because they've been able to develop the intangibles. Because it's not all about the physical tools, that he has a gun, he's fast, he can make all the throws. Listen, a lot of it is grit. A lot of it is that natural leadership ability in the huddle, right? Whether you're 45 years old and been in the league 23 years, like the GOAT, Tom Brady, that was on the other side, or you're a 22, 23-year-old kid that's making your second start or second appearance, really, okay? If you have that moxie, if you have that stuff, you've developed that over many seasons or many starts, okay, it's going to make a huge difference.
Of course.
Now, having said that, he is the quarterback for a team that has an overwhelming, suffocating defense, the best in the league. His running backs are great.
An embarrassment of riches, sir.
He's got a lot of good things that when you're handed a Ferrari, just don't crash the car. You know what I'm saying? Are we going to anoint him the next Tom Brady? He's
7 Super Bowls away.
My good old friend Lee Corso says, not so fast. I like him. The kid's got all that gumption that you're talking about. Love his name. I love a name. Brock Purdy. Sounds like a football player. But let's relax a little bit. We got time. I want to see him when he goes on the road, when he goes against a tough defense of his own.
Thursday night.
Thursday night at Seattle?
Get ready.
I mean, even then, I think that defense is tough, but it's not as tough as I want him to really face. But definitely, obviously, a challenge because it's going to be off 4 days. And it's obviously a division rival. Huge. And we'll see. I want to see what he's got on the table there. But has he looked great in the first 2 games? Absolutely. I'm not from here. I'm hearing this around the world. We live in this unbelievable 1 week to the next. This is going to happen. And it sometimes messes with my head. We got to relax a little bit, because he looks good, but come on, Tampa Bay.
That's why he takes Seattle plus 3.5 this week.
I mean,
that's the bet.
That's why we do what we do, and we have the dive that will save us.
100%. Now, we have to do obligatory Dallas talk here because, they almost coughed it up against a terrible, terrible Houston Texans team, a 1-win team.
Would have been the upset of the year.
Would have been the upset of the year.
Spread-wise, looks-wise, anything-wise.
They needed a goal line stance to get them the ball and win the game.
Anybody in this room take Houston last week plus 16.5, 17?
Nope.
Just me?
But just you.
Just you.
Just me, huh?
Just you.
Damn, I really am a degenerate.
Easiest call of the week, man.
Let me tell you, as the line grew higher, I was like, bro,
give it to me.
Get ready because these guys are going to flop this week.
Yeah. Not to mention, it's Houston going against Dallas. It's their Super Bowl. If you don't believe that, it's a thing.
Houston,
it's a thing.
At home.
It's a thing. It's
at
Texas.
Home, and
And the fact
The
that
Cowboys got too big-headed.
first thing I believe I told my buddy while watching these games, I go, Houston has no chance. They're not going to win this game. However, before the first punt. However, the only way you win games like this, turnovers. And did Dallas just give away the ball? And Prescott, see, this is where this guy bothers me too, man. This guy has all the talent and all that, and then he makes that pass at the end of the game. They're lucky it's against Houston, who can't punch it in. But how do you throw that pick, man, from your own goal line like that? It's terrible.
Bonehead.
Terrible. Get that Cooper Rush guy back.
I mean, this doesn't bode well for their playoff chances, right? They're going to make the playoffs. They'll probably be a top 3 seed. But
see, this is a win or lose game.
They're a first round out.
The way this played out, they're going to have the tightness.
It's about matchup.
100%.
It depends who they play. And they are loaded with talent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they're going to play on the road.
No,
as loaded
it's
with
gonna be on
talent
the road.
as they are, they have to have one of the most inept coaching
First
staffs
of all, they're not
in
1
the
and
NFL.
out. They're going to probably play the Bucks on the road, first game, playoffs. If they lose to the Bucks, then they really are trash. But they're
They
going to
just
play
signed-
whoever wins the NFC South.
They just signed T.Y. Hilton,
Yeah.
which if he can stay healthy is a nice little add-on. As long as they don't ask him to do too much like they
Yeah.
were doing at Indianapolis, he can be healthy
But he's
for
not
the
going to
rest
have
of
to
the year
do too much.
and be okay. So, I mean, I know the New York Giant fan in you is poo-pooing, but again,
Yes, very much so.
They're good.
I think they're going to choke. Don't get me wrong.
Team.
I think they will.
They're a decent team.
They will find a way to choke.
except for
That's what the
letdown.
Dallas Cowboys do.
And
But they're not going to choke the first
gonna
round.
go to the
They'll be a divisional round and out
Yes.
guy.
All right, let's close out the Week 14 recap with our hometown Miami Dolphins. Grizz.
Save the best for last.
Grizz. Go ahead.
What do you want me to tell?
Wax poetic, sir.
Oh, this was terrible. I told you the week before, hey, it's just one game. Niners, and it was. The way we played against them, I thought we had a really good chance. But to play against these Chargers, they were down. They had backups on backups for the defense. And Tua just had a really bad game. Just couldn't hit anything. I mean, I don't know what it was going on. I think we threw the ball too much. We should have ran the ball against a team that doesn't stop the run. It just annoyed me. When we would run the ball, we were doing great and just didn't run the ball. And
this was the game to run it down the Chargers'
which
throat.
is bothering me. The guy's
and
a
it
running
opens
guy.
up the passing game. It opens up the passing game. Why? Because the linebackers are not able to drop back to 14, 15 yards, which is where they were, taking away that intermediate.
Once again, and
area.
it happens to my coach. It happens to every coach. They outthink themselves. They think they're too smart. We're going to run the ball. They're going to think we're going to run the ball. Let's just throw the ball all the time. And because sometimes the way we get the ball with Tua, it's such a quick pass that it's kind of a hybrid of a running game. But when he's not throwing them well, I think we need to go back to the running game. It sucks that Wilson got hurt. That's a big thing. That guy, he runs aggressive. Moster's great, but we needed that.
You need that in between the tackles game.
That was such a perfect 1-2 punch. I hope he gets back. But, yeah, man, we played terrible. We were really never in the game. It sucks because this 3-game road trip was highlighted
And our defense,
all season.
Our defense is not playing well.
No.
Our defense just is not
The
playing
stat
well.
that's pissing me off is that we're going to have a stat that is basically 40 years ago the last time this happened, where at home, nobody can score on us. But on the road, we are the worst team giving up points. It's a difference of 20-something points, which, like I said, is the largest difference since 1982. That's a terrible stat. We can't stop anybody on the road. And who do we play this week? At Buffalo with snow. I mean, ain't going to be no throwing the ball in this game. You got to run the ball. It's not looking good. And obviously, we don't win the division if you make the playoffs. Road. So,
No, and now the playoffs are in question.
Oh, of course
Now the
they're in
playoffs
question.
are in question.
First of all,
everybody in the division's winning. You've got the Chargers back in the game.
If they win
You've got
two,
Cincinnati or Baltimore. It's just
right. But I think that's why Cincinnati beating Baltimore will be better. We have the tiebreaker against them. We win 2 games out of the last 4. We're 10-7. That's a playoff team. I'm pretty sure. Because the other 2 teams that are behind us, Jets and Patriots, are 2 of those teams we have to play. They themselves will be killing each other. This Buffalo game doesn't look like a win to me, so we got to win 2 out of the last 3. And it's not looking good. The playoffs, and I don't even know if I want to go because the road game is scaring me. We're going to have to line up against probably either at Cincinnati, at Tennessee. Not good.
We're gonna calm everybody down here. All right, we're gonna break, and we're gonna be right back with Week 15 preview. And we're back to preview Week 15 in the NFL. We're gonna jump right in here with the Thursday night football game. San Francisco 49ers at Seattle Seahawks. In a divisional game here, right? Seahawks have been pretty consistent all year long. Right? 49ers look like they're, they had a couple injuries.
They're figuring it out.
But they look very strong going down the stretch. Grizz, give me your thoughts right off the hit.
Well, like we were talking a little bit before, let's see if Brock Purdy's ready to play a road game against a semi-better defense. And like I said, a big rival in the Seahawks. Seahawks right now struggling. They just lost to the Panthers, which is not a good thing that they needed for their playoff chances here. And playing the Niners, if they do lose this game, they'll be at 7-7, looking at the Chiefs the next weekend on the road. So this is huge. If they still have a chance for the division, huge. If they have a chance for the playoffs, huge. So Geno Smith and company better show up, and let's see if the Seahawks can finally put an end to this Purdy love. And I personally think, I think Coach was already talking. He's liking the Seahawks plus 3.5, I believe.
Yes, sir.
I'm with him on that. I think definitely a game that's going to come down to the end. Field goal, win either way. I'm going to go with Seahawks.
Yeah, they're 1-4, 1-3 in their last 4. They were pretty banged up last weekend. No running backs.
No Walker, that was huge.
They had no Walker, no DJ Dallas. They were down a few guys.
Yep.
So again, I think that had a lot to play into that game.
And the 3 losses are Bucks, Raiders, and Panthers. I'm not liking that. Right. But this is your time to.
They're coming back home. They're coming back home. Division game. I like Pete Carroll versus the rookie quarterback.
By the way, all 3 of those losses at home.
Again, like I said.
I'm killing my own argument. But
they're coming back home. I think that Purdy coming in, the weather should be nice and saucy for him. I don't think the Niners should be 3.5-point favorites. They should win the game. The Niners are a better team right now, but I can see the Seahawks putting up a good fight and losing by a point, and of course they can't pull off the straight upset. Because again, we'll see what Purdy can do against Coach Carroll and that defense.
Now, I agree with all the points. I know Seahawks were a little banged up. They're getting a little healthy. I do think that the Deebo Samuel injury does play a factor in this game. I do think it's going to be a close one. Like the coach always says, right? Divisional games always mean a lot more. They see each other multiple times. They're very familiar with each other. Again, I like a Pete Carroll defense against a young quarterback, right? If nothing else, that Seattle Seahawks defense, they look like, right? They're kind of trending towards what they were in the Legion of Boom days. They pin their ears back and go. They're not that, but they are physical and they are fast, right? And that's the quickest way to nullify a young quarterback is when you play physical and you play fast. So, again, let's see what happens there. Christian McCaffrey also questionable. He plays, right?
Yeah.
He plays for sure.
And don't forget, Purdy is banged up as well. He got hit. He's going through a little nick here and there. So that also adds to the intrigue of the game.
Yeah, especially on a short week, right? These guys are going to be playing still hurt, right? They're still licking their wounds from the battle of last weekend. So let's see what happens, right? Seahawks at home, right? It's going to be a tight one. I do like the +3 there. Let's see what happens. All right, let's jump into another divisional game. The New York Giants against the Washington Commanders. Their last matchup a couple weekends ago ended in a draw, which sucked all the way around, right? Washington has turned it around, right? Just like the Detroit Lions, they started very slow, okay, and they've been hot for, the better part of this second stretch of the season. I don't know. New York Giants down and out after this last week. Do they bounce back? Hard to see. Washington is playing with a little bit of momentum relatively in recent weeks. Coach, your thoughts?
It's a tough matchup. just because the Redskins had a bye week between last game and this game. So all they've thought about for 2 weeks now is the
It's
Giants,
just Giants.
the Giants, the Giants.
And some more Giants.
We tied the Giants. They also understand that beating them enhances their position in the playoff race. They're playing at home. They just saw how the Giants got beat up, manhandled by the Eagles. So it's going to be a difficult game for the Giants to be able to bounce back and win.
Yeah, they're both 7-5-1, right? The winner of this game has the inside track to the wild card.
It's bad, man.
It hurts me. It pains me to say this.
It's bad. You know what you got to say. Say it.
I go with the Commanders.
You know you have to. Listen, their last 6 games, as much as I've been on the Giants bandwagon all year, but they have lost 4 out of 6. They tied 1, and their only win was against the Texans. That's a bad 6-game stretch. This game is for everything your whole season has been up to. Because next week they have to play at the Vikings, which, once again, not the scariest 10-3 team, but you got to respect going into Minnesota with that kind of team. You finish with the Colts, and then you finish at the Eagles, which could be a meaningless game for the Eagles. Who knows, depending if they clinched everything. But it's still at the Eagles. So right now, your playoff hopes are dangling. And once again, like you guys have been saying, Commanders on fire. They've been playing hot. Heineke, you take that guy to the after hours and let's party.
You know the worst part about it, too, is they're also a very popular underdog.
Yep.
They're getting 60% of the
The
bets.
Giants are getting a lot of that.
They're getting a lot of attention.
Well, because it is still Washington, so nobody really trusts them either.
No, what you look at is you're saying, okay, 2 weeks ago these teams tied.
Correct.
Now all of a sudden the Giants are 4.5 point underdogs.
But they were
So
at home the way they played, and then the
Right.
Giants get exposed like they were against the Eagles. Yeah, everybody's gonna be. This is a Sunday night game. They moved it to prime time. So once again, here's the sample of their last 8 games: 6-1-1 for the Commanders. They're only lost to the Vikings. So I mean, they're playing super hot. Everything is saying Commanders, right? Everything. You've said it. Everybody said it.
Pick the Giants to cover.
You know I'm going Giants, baby. Let's
Four
go.
and a- four
Barkley and company, baby. Outright win.
Woo! All right.
Let's go Giants.
Bounce back? Bounce back?
Bounce
All
back.
right.
When everybody
I like it.
thinks it's over, it's Giants to the home.
Spread, the Commanders are favored by 4.5 right now
Sir,
from what I'm looking at.
Sir, it opened at 4.
Heineke's
The
having
Giants are getting 60% of the bets. Circa has it at 5. Westgate 4.5. South Point 5. DraftKings 4.5. It's 4.5 across the board.
61
and
if
two
you had
fives.
the Grizz in there.
And you got 60%, and one of those 60%ers is the Grizz.
Yeah.
Sprint the other way.
So yeah, you're going to watch. I'm laying
Fade
the
the hell out of
4.5.
me, baby.
I'm laying the 4.5.
Heard. Let's look at
Listen,
some.
I got Washington and some other thing that I need them to win. So it's all good. Either way, I'm cool.
Let's make it happen. All right, let's jump into some interconference matchups here. We're going to look at the Detroit Lions at the New York Jets. Again, Detroit, another white-hot team.
Let me explain to you something. This is the middle of December. Who the hell thought this game would mean anything?
It means,
However.
means a lot more, right? We talked about it in the last segment, right? Detroit Lions, I'm picking them to win this game, right? There's inconsistency with quarterback, all right, for the Jets. We don't know what's going to happen there. On the other side, Detroit Lions, man, can they pull this out? I already called it. They're going to go 3-1 in this last stretch. Let's see what happens. What do you have them at, Coach?
Boss, like I said, I mean, it all depends for me who the quarterback is that plays in that game. If White is able to play, I do believe that the Jets can win outright. I think their defense is going to give the Lions a tremendous test. I think it's outdoors. I don't think Goff does well outdoors. I think they're going to struggle. Just like we talk about all dome teams. Dome teams don't do well outdoors. We're talking about a December afternoon in New York.
A balmy December afternoon in New York.
It's going to be cold. It should have a little bit of wind. Not too much. The wind won't be terribly too much of a factor. But I do think the Jets, if White is able to play, have a very good chance to win the game.
It's interesting. I'm looking here on ESPN. There is no line here. This is a straight pick 'em.
No, it's okay. What happened was, again, It opened up, I want to say it opened up with the Jets as 3-point favorites. It's got bet down because we don't know who the quarterback is for the Jets. On top of that, the Lions are a very popular team.
Now,
I want to say no. It opened up at 1. It opened up at 1. It stayed at 1. It's been flip-flopping between 1 is where it's been. It opened up on the 11th between 1. The look-ahead line was the Jets -3. And mind you, most of the action is on Detroit. And yet the line is holding where it's at.
Grizz, thoughts?
No, like I said, I don't think you're completely off on 3-1, but I do agree one of them could be this week against the Jets. Now, it does help that they played a few weeks ago in the same stadium, outdoors, against the Giants, and they won 31-18. Not as cold that day, but it was an outdoor game. So familiarity of that stadium might help out. Hey, we were here a couple weeks ago. We did just fine. So
Feeling themselves a little bit?
I think,
but the Giants,
first of all, it's
the
in my
Giants
best
don't have any
interest for the
sauce.
Jets to lose every
The
game.
Giants don't have any sauce.
Correct. However, the Lions have their own sauce. And their offense, we'll see how the offense matches up against this defense. I think it's just going to be slight enough to give the Lions a 1-point win.
Nice. Now, the other interconference matchup here is against the Tennessee Titans. They're playing at the Los Angeles Chargers this weekend. Both teams are 7-6. Interesting, right? They're both vying for bottom end of the playoff bracket.
If there's ever been a time for Derrick Henry to have a 200-yard rushing game,
It's this one.
it's this one.
I agree.
For a team that we just spoke about, the Dolphins not running the ball, I hope the Titans, which they're known for their running game, says, what do we have here? Feed this man the ball. I say none of that because I'm playing in a fantasy football playoff weekend with my head guy being D. Henry against a rival that we all know that I need to win. But it would be just very nice if I could get a 228-yard game, 3-touchdown performance. Simple call. Other than that, should be a good game.
Listen, to go off what you're saying, I think it's going to be King Henry early, often, and all day. They're going to feed this dude.
Bless you, child. Speak the truth.
There's a couple of things here that, number one, the Chargers are a good underdog team. They're not a good favorite team.
Are they favored?
They're
Yes,
favored
by
3.
Thank God.
So, Tennessee can run the ball. The Chargers struggle.
We travel well with the running game. That's what's good.
Okay. I also think that the passing game, the Titans' passing game, might be a little bit better this week than it's been in weeks past, just because they're getting a little healthier. So I do lean the Titans here. I am taking the points with the Titans.
Honestly, I don't care who wins this game. I just need Derrick Henry to go nuts.
Listen, we're
Full disclosure.
understood.
This is where times get intertwined.
May you go nuts this week and not next week. Moving right along.
Moving right along, we're going to close out here with a huge AFC East matchup, right? Miami traveling to Buffalo, right? Huge playoff implications here. Grizz, we're going to start with you. I know we touched upon it in last segment, but I know you have more deep-seated thoughts here.
I mean, we have everything on the line. We said, like the schedule came out, and when I saw these 3 road games, this is it. Whether we're a good team or not, this is going to be our stretch. And coming into the stretch, I go, be nice to win 2 out of 3, the way we've been playing. Once I saw that Niner game, and I figured that would be one of the 2 possible losses, I figured, okay, I think it was going to be a 1-2. Losing to the Chargers, now that's going to really put a wrench in my 1-2, because I think the hardest game that we have to play is coming up now. This game got flexed a couple weeks ago because they go, we got to put these 2 teams on the spotlight. Man, if I see any of that Tua from the last 2 weeks, it's not going to be pretty. I have faith. I have faith to the end of the season. We ride this out till it's over, but we got to be better. And I expect a lot from my coach. I expect this man to figure out this game plan if he's a genius like we hope he is. And the fact is we played very well against the Bills at home. And even if it is, at home on a hot day, we're going to completely 180 this with snow, wind, night game. It's going to be gritty. We're going to need to run this ball. And I still think Buffalo's not clicking on all cylinders.
They're not.
So even though our defense is not also at 100%, I don't know why. I just feel this game should be a close game. Not feeling great about picking the Dolphins, but I will, because that's what I do. I go on the limb.
I think the key to this game is Jeff Wilson, and if he's going to be healthy.
I don't think he is. I don't think he plays.
I'm not counting. I'm sorry. I'm not counting on that. We're gonna have to ride Mostert, and I don't even know what my other guy is, because I was so focused on my two. I just know that he's also an ex-Niner. That's what this guy does.
Yeah, he's collecting dudes that he's familiar with.
The Niners, which I would hope bring over McCaffrey next year or something. But other than that, like, I mean, it's gonna be Tua needing to get back to his old ways, and hopefully Hill's not as hurt. Hopefully Waddle comes back, because he's been lost for a few games.
Yes.
And if we get accurate Tua back, we'll be in the game.
So Bills are favored by 7.5.
Yeah, it's too much, I think.
What are you doing here? You're taking Dolphins?
I'm taking the Dolphins with 7.5. I'm booking it now. I do think that, honestly, the Dolphins have a chance. They have a shot to keep it close. I don't know if they can win. I think Buffalo at home is a very tough out. I think their defense is so good, and they match up well with us. If the wind isn't a factor, I think the passing game will be there. I just don't think we can run the football. I don't think we're patient enough to run the football. That's what concerns me with this offense. I don't think we're patient enough to run the ball, especially in a game like this. Like I said, the last game, we had to run the football, that was the game plan. Should have been to run the ball.
Here's the thing. I think
we didn't do it.
Our hands going to be forced to run it more because of the weather, and hopefully, maybe not saying if he completes his first few passes, maybe he says, "Okay, keep throwing it." But I think he's going to run it more because of the inclement weather, and I think he's a smart guy, and he's going to realize, hey, all right, we tried this, it didn't work. Once again, it's just funny because a couple weeks ago, put this guy Hall of Fame MVP, we got smart, and then one or two games.
Regression to the mean.
It's just, once again, this is what it bothers me. The super extremes over here and super extremes over there. I mean, it's literally happening in our world that way. So it's sports, same thing. And it's annoying. That's one of my biggest pet peeves is just relax, bro. Take it in the hole. The guy's 8-5. The team's 8-5. We've played better than what we should be.
We're going in the right direction.
It's called progression.
Correct.
Usually it takes a few years to get where you're supposed to. Josh Allen's been in this league for 4 or 5 years, right? And he did not win a Super Bowl year one. Did they get rid of him? You know what I'm saying? Let's go.
He still hasn't won a Super Bowl.
We're putting the pieces, right? He still hasn't. We're putting the pieces together. Yeah, we want to get in there and make some noise. I don't think there's no Super Bowl for the Dolphins this year. If that happens, fantastic. But I just want to see, as I always say, just give me that heart. Give me that. I see that you're doing it right. When I see the dumb plays, the dumb calls, that bothers me. I don't think we're there. I just think, hey, couple bad games, playing good teams, that happens. Look, you beat the bad teams, right? You're supposed to do that. And you lose to sometimes the good teams. Sometimes that happens. Let's see this game. If we're blown out by 40 points, I'd be a little concerned. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be one of those fun games to watch. I'm a fan of snow games. And let's see. Is this the same old dolphin dive of going December? The swoon? I don't know. Because that's the thing. That happened with Dan Marino year after year. One of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. And we would have the swoons. So it can happen to anybody, bro. Relax.
There you have it. Beauty is, that's why the games are played, and we'll see what happens, and we review it like we always do. We're going to be right back with the deep dive. We're going to lock up episode 56, just like we always do, with the deep dive. Coach, take it away.
Well, we've had a solid season this year. We're just giving up the stats. We're at 60% overall. We're able to hit and have some good weeks to end the season and bring us all the way full circle from a rough and rocky start in college football. We finished 71, 46, and 1 for a 60% win rate. College. There is some college football this week. There's a few bowl games. First one is going to be, I want to say it's Friday the 16th. Miami of Ohio against UAB. Then the other one is the same day at 3 o'clock. It's Troy against UTSA. The Cure Bowl. We like Troy. We've taken Troy there at money line. The line's already moved up to -2 for Troy. We think Troy's going to be the better team there. The UTSA offensive coordinator left to be a head coach somewhere else. Those guys, again, those are two good teams. Troy's had a really good end of their season. They won their conference just like the Roadrunners did. That's our one college play so far this weekend. If we have anything else, we'll post it. For the NFL, as we've mentioned a little while ago, we're going to be on Tennessee +3 against the Chargers. We like Jacksonville +4.5 against the Cowboys. We think the Jacksonville Jaguars are finally really coming into their own. They've struggled the last few weeks closing games. That last week against Tennessee was that game that I think gets them over the hump to really
gives them that confidence,
turn things around and do some things. Trevor Lawrence is playing really well. And I think they've got good pieces around them. We're going to go to a couple of goo plays, as you like to call them. We're on Seattle +3.5 against San Francisco. We're going to go ahead and walk out on a ledge here, and we're going to take Chicago +9 against that formidable Eagles football team.
Okay, that's goo. That's goo as hell.
Because we just think that 9 points is a lot of points.
Woof. I just got the bubble guts thinking about that.
That's how it is. And then we're going to take Miami +7.5. We're also on a couple of unders. I'm going to give one out. It's moved, though. We took Baltimore and Cleveland under 39.5. I want to say it's under 37.5. Well, it's at 38.5. So, I mean, it's still playable. We got it at 39. The wind is going to be, it should be a windy under. It's at about 16, 17 miles an hour. I think both teams are going to pound the rock. So, we'll see how we continue the season.
Listen,
in the NFL.
I ran the numbers real quick. You're almost at a 61% win rate clip.
We're right there.
So kudos to you, sir, over the season. I had a little bit of a rough patch to start off, and you fought along, rose above the adversity.
God is good, brother. God is good.
And as always, that's why you take the season as a whole. Doesn't matter how you start, baby, how you finish.
Big picture, baby. Big picture.
God is good. It was funny. I was going back, and we had a couple of really solid weeks. We were like 10-2, like 11-1. It was like a disgusting couple of weeks.
Oh, you were on fire there.
Which was really, really nice, and really brought things together for us. So, again, as we go forward, we've already mentioned Duke as one of our future picks. It's hard to give out too many plays too early because of the guys that are sitting out, and the line moves, and there's things happening every day.
Bowl games are tricky because of that.
There's things happening every day. Guys are entering the transfer.
Some guy left from Clemson today to go to the draft.
Just right now, we had a guy come out of the transfer portal, the quarterback of Western Kentucky, had entered. Now he said, no, I changed my mind. I want to stay here.
I'm telling you, they're using it as leverage. It's their modern day, contract negotiation tool.
I only threw for 4,200 yards here, so I won't go anywhere.
Guy's the truth. If he was at another program, he'd be in the Heisman conversation. So
maybe not, though, because maybe it's what they're running.
100%. Grizz, you got any dirty picks for this week?
Nah, no dirty picks. I just want to highlight we're almost done with the World Cup. I'm not, like I said, not a soccer guy, but the other day was one of the greatest quarterfinal days ever. If you know about the Brazil getting knocked out, upset. You had a France-England match that was amazing. And my personal favorite, the Dutch and Argentina. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Incredible finish. What a finish, huh?
2-0 lead for the Argentines. You think it's over, but you can't. You know me. I love me some Dutch. For many reasons, I'm a fan of the Netherlands.
Tied it.
And as always, they came back literally on borrowed
stoppage time.
On borrowed
10+
time.
minutes of stoppage time.
And then down 2-0 in the penalty kicks, all they need to do is miss one. I think 5 straight, either they miss or Argentina makes it. One of those things had to go right for Argentina, and it didn't. 4 in a row. It came down to the last kick. Argentina beat the Dutch. I mean, they won today 3-0 to make it to the final.
Messi looked unbelievable today.
Messi's
playing.
If he's going out, and this is his last ROM, he's going out as great as he's ever been in a World Cup. France, I think, plays Morocco, which is your Cinderella team.
I've got a future on France.
Yeah, France should win that game, and
I think Argentina should be an underdog in that game.
Oh, they will be.
So I'll be able to take Argentina and cover.
You're going to talk about the defending champion against one of the GOATs. It should be. I mean, we'll be talking about this next week when we tape, but it should be probably one of the most hyped finals ever.
Might be one of the.
Obviously, France has to beat Morocco, which
right.
2 teams before thought they were going to be Morocco, which Portugal was one of the teams I wanted to win, and they lost, unfortunately. So we'll see. It's going to be a nice little ending to the World Cup. Which
France has been playing. I like the way France plays, though.
Listen,
Mbappe
is the real deal,
right?
But
so
it's not
we're
just
looking
him,
at
though.
old GOAT, future GOAT.
Right.
If that's the matchup, I think that's what they would have wanted the matchup to be.
Correct.
I think that's your best possible matchup you could have had to a final. So we'll see.
23 years old.
In a stolen World Cup because of where it's at, because that's a whole nother issue. At least you'll get some amazing soccer that's been played.
100%. Mbappe, 23 years old, already playing, in position to play for his second World Cup. If he wins this one, I think he puts himself in the conversation of one of the greatest ever in that pantheon.
He starts.
You got the next decade and a half of France being probably a top 4 team.
Right. And on the flip side, Messi has the opportunity to solidify himself as potentially the greatest ever.
And finally bring that World Cup back.
It all depends. And even if he loses, it all depends how he loses. He can't choke this away like missing a penalty because, unfortunately, his whole life has been when he loses, he chokes it.
Which is, again... And it's funny you mentioned that because in the game of England and France, Kane had a shot, penalty kick, and shoots it over the goal.
He will be remembered forever.
It's like Rooney had the same. It's like they have that. It's an illness.
That is a forever moment in their lives.
He will never be able to take it back.
I will say of the most passionate sport in the world, if you're on the wrong side, it's a bad side. But if you're on the right side,
yeah, you can do no wrong.
No wrong.
And on that note, gentlemen, this closes out episode 56. Another great episode in the books. Looking forward to next week, as always. 2 coaches, 1 Grizz. Out.